You've met him. Maybe you've dated him. Maybe you work with him. Maybe, if you're being honest, you've caught glimpses of him in the mirror. He's 35, sometimes 45, occasionally older. He's an adult by every legal measure. But something about him never quite finished growing. He's the man-child. And the psychology behind him is far stranger and far sadder than most people realize. On the surface, he seems harmless. Fun, even. He's the one cracking jokes when things get serious. The one who can't hold down a stable plan but always has a new exciting idea. The one whose room, apartment, or life looks like a teenager still lives there. People laugh him off. They call him immature, a bit lost, not ready to settle down. But immaturity isn't the diagnosis, it's the symptom. Underneath the man-child is a mind that got stuck, and understanding why reveals something uncomfortable about how all of us grow or fail to. Let's start with the core of it. Psychological development isn't automatic. We assume that aging and maturing are the same process, that if you live long enough, you'll naturally become an adult. But that's not how the mind works. Emotional maturity is built through discomfort, through facing consequences, through being told no and learning to sit with the disappointment, through taking responsibility when it would be easier to run. Every time a person does the hard thing instead of the easy thing, a little more of the adult gets built. The man-child is someone who, somewhere along the way, stopped doing the hard things, and his development quietly froze in place. The first thing you'll notice about him is his relationship with responsibility. He doesn't just avoid it, he's genuinely allergic to it. Commitments feel like cages. Deadlines feel like attacks. The moment anything starts to require sustained effort or accountability, he finds a reason to leave, to delay, to blame someone else. And here's the part most people miss. This isn't laziness, it's fear. Deep down, the man-child is terrified of failing at something that matters, so he protects himself by never fully committing to anything. If you never really try, you can never really fail. Staying a child is, in a twisted way, a defense mechanism against the pain of being a disappointing adult. This connects to the second pattern. The man-child needs to be taken care of, but he'll never admit it. He gravitates toward partners, friends, and even employers who will manage the parts of life he refuses to manage himself. He finds the organizer, the planner, the nurturer, and quietly hands them the role of parent. They pay the bills he forgets. They smooth over the conflicts he creates. They carry the emotional weight he won't pick up. And for a while, this works. The caretaker feels needed. The man-child feels safe. But resentment always builds, because no one signed up to raise a partner. Eventually, the caretaker burns out, and the man-child, bewildered, moves on to find the next person who will play mom or dad. The third pattern is the most revealing. He cannot handle being wrong. Watch what happens when you confront a man-child with a genuine mistake. He doesn't reflect. He deflects. He gets defensive, makes a joke, changes the subject, or flips it around so suddenly you're the one apologizing. This is because a mature adult can hold the thought, "I did something bad," without collapsing into "I am bad." But the man-child never developed that separation. To him, any criticism isn't feedback. It's an existential threat. So his ego throws up walls, and those walls keep out the very experiences that could help him grow. He stays small precisely because he can't survive the feeling of being imperfect. Now, where does this come from? Because no one chooses to stay a child. The roots almost always trace back to early life, and there are usually two opposite origins that lead to the same place. The first is overprotection. Some man-children were raised by parents who removed every obstacle, solved every problem, and shielded them from every consequence. They grew up in a world where someone always swooped in to fix things, so they never built the internal muscles required to handle hardship, because hardship was never allowed to touch them. They reach adulthood with the body of a man and the coping skills of a boy who was never permitted to struggle. The second origin is the opposite. Some man-children were forced to grow up too fast, or were so neglected that a part of them froze at the age the pain began. When a child's emotional needs go unmet, a piece of them stays behind, waiting, still hoping someone will finally show up and take care of them. As adults, they unconsciously chase the childhood they never got. They want the freedom, the play, the safety they were denied. The man-child, in this case, isn't refusing to grow up. He's trying to reclaim a childhood that was stolen from him, and he doesn't even know it. This is why the man-child often comes across as charming, playful, magnetic. That arrested part of him is genuinely childlike, and there's something disarming about that energy. He can be spontaneous, funny, full of life. He makes people feel young again. But the same trait that makes him delightful at a party makes him devastating in a partnership. Because charm is not the same as character. Fun is not the same as reliability. And the people who love him slowly discover that the boy who's so wonderful to play with is nowhere to be found when life demands a man. Here's what makes this so painful to watch. The man-child is not happy. People assume he's living a carefree life, dodging responsibility, enjoying endless freedom. But underneath the jokes and the avoidance is a quiet, gnawing sense of inadequacy. He sees his peers building careers, families, lives of meaning, and some part of him knows he's been left behind. He feels it. He just can't face it, because facing it would mean admitting how far behind he's fallen, and that admission feels unbearable. So he doubles down on the avoidance, and the gap between who he is and who he could have been grows a little wider every year. But here's the part nobody talks about. The man-child can grow up. Arrested development is not a life sentence. The same way maturity is built through discomfort, it can be built at any age by someone finally willing to face what they've been running from. The transformation always begins the same way. Not with a new partner, not with a new job, not with a fresh start in a new city. It begins with consequences he's no longer allowed to escape. It begins the day no one rescues him. The day he has to sit in the mess he made and feel the full weight of it. That moment is terrifying, but it's also the doorway. Because the adult was never missing. It was just never required to show up. And this is the uncomfortable truth that applies to everyone watching. We all have a man-child inside us. We all have areas of our lives where we avoid responsibility, deflect blame, and wait for someone to rescue us. Maturity isn't a finish line you cross once. It's a daily choice between the easy thing and the hard thing, made over and over in 1,000 small moments. The difference between an adult and a man-child isn't age. It's how many times they chose the hard thing when the easy thing was right there. So the next time you meet him, or recognize him in someone you love, or catch that flicker of him in yourself, try to see past the immaturity. Underneath is a person who got scared, got stuck, and never learned that they were strong enough to handle their own life. That's not a character flaw to mock. It's a wound that never healed. And healing, for him and for all of us, starts the moment we stop running and finally decide to grow. So tell me, where in your own life have you been waiting for someone to rescue you? The answer might be the exact place you're being called to finally grow up. If this made you think, subscribe. We explore the psychology that explains the people around you and the person inside you. Drop a comment with your thoughts. We read everyone.